Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. So, in elections past, the main enemy of conservatives has not necessarily been liberals or Democrats. It's been the media. The conservatives and the Republican Party have been fighting with the media ever since the Nixon days, and maybe even before. Who knows? And the Democrats, and the liberals, while maintaining this position that liberal bias in the media doesn't exist, there's just a bias in favor of the facts, and the facts support liberal positions. Blah blah. You've heard all that pap before. This election is different. I mean, Barack Obama took his shots at the media, but this election has just liberal commentators and liberal media personalities and reporters are just, they're beside themselves over the coverage of this election. Conservative commentators, I don't even know how to describe how everybody hates each other, and especially the media in this cycle. I mean, do you have any insight? Do you have any response to that?
Well, I look at we've talked about how unfair Hillary has gotten treated at times, right? By the own left media. And the longer all this goes on, the more the left has turned on her, the left's-leaning media. The longer Donald Trump goes on, the more the right-leaning media comes after him. Here's the difference that I see, and the only thing we can point out is polls. It hasn't affected Donald. Republicans, conservative Republicans coming after him. Paul Ryan saying, hey, listen, I don't necessarily have to work with him. Cruz saying, hey, listen, I'm never going to endorse him. All that stuff from the right has not really affected Trump one way or another. But when the liberal media starts reporting, when the New York Times starts negative editorial pieces about Hillary Clinton, it's starting to affect her. And that's how I view this. The liberal media turning on Hillary. And by turning, I'm not talking about, they're throwing her out with the baby with bathwater. But I'm talking about there's a lot of negativity coming from the left in the media, and along with negativity from the right, which is what you would expect. But I don't think that. I think that all this negativity in the media is hurting Hillary more than it's hurting Donald Trump.
The thing that I have noticed more than the thing that I've noticed that is driving liberals in the media or liberal commentators crazy the most, though, is not necessarily things that Hillary is doing. It's the way that folks in the mainstream, in the institutionalized media, the New York Times or the cable networks or whatever, are covering them the same way, as if Donald Trump, despite his winning the nomination of the Republican Party, is just a Mitt Romney presidential candidate, for example. How it all came to a head with that birther stuff at his hotel, where he comes out and says, not only have I not spent the last 5 years talking about the president's birth certificate, which is a lie, but it was Hillary Clinton and her campaign who started it, which is another lie. And the media went crazy. They went absolutely ballistic, and nobody cared. And
that's what
nobody cared. Nobody cared whatsoever. And then Hillary has a coughing fit, and they look at it like it's World War II.
I thought that was ridiculous. The thing that kills me is they kept saying, "Oh, well, she has a body double." If you think Hillary Clinton's the only one with a body double, you're crazy. Every president has his body double. The first family has their body double. They run these people into the limos at the same time. There's a reason it's a presidential motorcade, 8 cars long, right? You have decoys. It's what it is. I thought that was idiocy. Number 2, whether you agree or disagree with what Donald Trump says, that was a master class in how to manipulate the media.
Well, for his business. I mean, it looks stupid as all get out.
It did. But look at this. He got the media to focus on him. And as soon as people started leaving stuff, going, this is not, boom, he come up with something else. I watched the entirety of, what was that, 42 minutes or whatever that was on YouTube. And honest to God, I was sitting there going like, first I was going like, God, this is crazy. And then I started thinking, this guy is a genius. He has gotten the entire national media to focus on him. He says whatever he wants. People go bananas, and it doesn't affect them in the polls in any way.
It doesn't increase the poll. If he was a genius, he'd be winning. And he's not winning. He's still not winning.
That may be true, but you don't know until the last vote's cast. Number two, and I keep coming back to this. The Republican Party in general is in a lot of trouble. Number two, I talked to the colonel. They had the colonel vote over at the State Fair. They said that they would be a 10-1 margin voting for somebody else besides Hillary or Trump. I mean, I think this is the first time in history you've elected two people that are tremendously unpopular. And I think people staying home because out of disgust is actually going to help Trump more than it helps Hillary.
Well, that's usually how it works for the Republicans. But I as depressing as it sounds, the way that the polls have turned around, you'll know more once Ann Seltz and her folks get going in October, I think, because they haven't really released anything that I know of anyway, that I've seen. They might have, but I haven't reviewed it. But right now, Trump's going to win Iowa by 5 points. That's, if you were a Democrat in Iowa, it's really depressing, but it speaks back to the just complete implosion of Democratic infrastructure in the state that I've been complaining about for about 3-4 years at this point.
Oh yeah.
The fact that Donald Trump could come into the state that started Barack Obama's national presidential career, elected or voted for him twice. He carried the state convincingly. Well, convincingly in 2008, not quite as big in 2012, but still carried the state
good. Yeah.
In twice, is going to go for Donald Trump in 2016 is insanity. It's insanity.
Well, I got a liberal buddy of mine down in Florida. Hey, George, if you're listening, this is you. And he was talking to me several months ago, and he was talking about, the Democrats down there are so completely disorganized. He says he's surprised they can even find the airport.
Oh, in Florida?
And he's like, geez.
Well, and the volatility of these polls, that's the other thing that just makes me nervous, because one poll in Florida or in Ohio, those two especially, one poll will say Trump is up by 2, and another poll will have Hillary up by 6. That volatility can't be good for the Democrats. I don't think.
Not for the party power.
Well, for her campaign, because she is running a more traditional campaign. I think that Trump is comfortable with the volatility. He kind of rides the chaos.
All right. Now I have one question. We have about a minute left, but I do want to ask you this question. This Setzer lady has done really well predicting stuff.
Yep.
She's been pretty much on the ball. Since this is such a different campaign, how valid do you think her analysis is going to be this time?
Well, the campaigns might be different, but the voters are still the same. And that Iowa poll, they have figured out how to get a very representative cross section of Iowans, whether through mobile, through other media platforms, and through traditional phone banking, and sending people out to knock on doors. They do such a crazy good job that I think the polling is going to be the same. Maybe the analysis. And that's where some of these bigger firms and where some of the aggregators have gotten themselves into trouble, because the numbers have been there. Donald Trump's numbers have been the same since he announced, basically. I mean, he picked up support. You know what I'm talking about. His numbers have been relatively the same, but the analysis has changed where they're saying, well, because the inherent bias of this guy's a lunatic, there's no way we'd ever vote for him. And that analysis that got softened, and people were not willing to admit things, kind of like Karl Rove on election night 2012. Wasn't willing, his analysis of the numbers was shaded by his political bias, and I think you saw that a lot on some of these professional folks on the Trump side, where they're saying, "Hey, there's no way that he's pulling this much support." Well, he was.
Yep. So, all right. Well, where are you going to be this week? Anywhere good?
I'm getting ready for trial on Monday.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, good luck on that.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will be back after this week.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Love both of them.